viewers. Welcome to Adventures in Welding, episode number 37. This is another tool tips episode. We're going to be talking about grinders, grinding wheels, and other things you can put on a grinder today. If you're welding, everybody has probably held a grinder in their hand at some point. 4.5 inch or 7 inch, probably the most common sizes. And there's basically three functions you can do with one. You can cut, you can grind, and you can polish. So let's take a look at each of those, and we're going to apply them to this 1 inch by 1/4 inch by 8 inch piece of mild steel stock. And we're going to assume that we're preparing this stock for TIG welding. Although any welding process, be it TIG welding, MIG, stick, well, to some extent even oxy-fuel, the cleaner the surface, the better off you are. TIG requires the cleanest, followed by MIG, followed by stick, and oxyacetylene will weld through pretty much anything. So first, let's talk about cutting. Cutting with a bench grinder, or cutting with an angle grinder, can be incredibly convenient and incredibly dangerous. Here's a slightly used 4.5 inch wafer disc. Now if you look there, you can see that sucker's pretty thin, because I've been using it for, well, it's pretty cut. Now if you hold it up against a 4.5 inch grinder disc, you can see I've probably used about 3/8 inch all the way around it. These things can be incredibly useful. They can also be a little bit dangerous. So regardless of what you see me do, always keep the guards on your grinders. I take them off in the videos, mostly for clarification so you guys can see what I'm doing closely, but don't remove their guards. Keep yourself safe. So that's a cutting wheel. Slightly less dangerous, yet still able to take a finger or a hand in the blink of an eye, is a grinding wheel. This one is a 1/8 inch A4024N 4.5 inch grinder, and also you can see how it has been used a little bit. You can see how the end is slightly tapered and not exactly square, and I'm going to talk about that as we get to that. So we've had our cutting and our grinding. We're going to finish up with our polishing. This is what's known as a flap disc, a ceramic flap disc. This is 4.5 inches. This is 40 grit. And I like them. You can do a lot with them. Again, here's our piece of mild steel. So let's act as if we're going to prepare this for some TIG welding. And if you're good, maybe I'll even run a bead on it for you, all right? Let's get started. All right, here we are. We've got our 8 inch piece of steel. We're going to assume that we need it to be 7 inches for the task. So we've marked it out, and now I'm just going to draw a line on it using a piece of soapstone, which you always want to sharpen at the 7 inch mark. Now before we start cutting, I have safety glasses on, I have a protective jacket, and I'm putting on a pair of work gloves. And keep the guards on your machine. So the first machine we're going to start out with, well, they're all 4.5 inch angle grinders, but we're going to start out with the one that has the cutting disc on it. Now, if you can see there on the back, there is an arrow that points in the direction of rotation. You want that arrow to be facing away from you so that the sparks go away from you. And then when making your cut, do not come in at it like this from the back, where it's going to kick the wheel and probably break it. Don't come in from the front, same deal. Come in on the top and kind of gently scribe a line through it using a forward and back rocking motion. All right, let's get it on. cut, we'll remove the cutoff. Nice, clear, square cut. Next, we want to dress up this edge with a grinder. So here's a grinder with a 4.5 inch, I'm trying to see what grit it is. I'm not really sure, I can't see. This is just a standard one that comes with your average angle grinder. Now, why is it called an angle grinder? Is it because the wheel comes out at a 90-degree angle? No, it's called an angle grinder because you want to grind at an angle. Don't sit your grinder flat on the material. It'll work, but it's not the most efficient way to do it. The most efficient way to use your grinder is at a slight angle, again with the rocking back and forth movement. Now, just about every type of grinder you'll get comes with a handle. This one happens to work on either the left or right side, and it will help you keep things nice and steady. It's even got a flat spot up in here to put your wrench on, and it has a holder for the wrench back there. So let's clean this up with the grinder. Remember, at an angle, back and forth. We're not done. I'm just stopping halfway through to show you where the difference is between what's been dressed and what still has the mill scale on it. You can see what a big difference the grinder makes. And that is me putting virtually no pressure on there at all. It's simply the weight of the grinder and the spinning of the wheel. Now you also want to make sure to deburr any cuts. Just a light touch is generally all it takes. The piece has been ground, all the mill scale has been ground off, the edges have been deburred. You can see that looks nice and smooth. But microscopically, it's still kind of rough. So we're going to go on to the final step, and that's the flap disc. Again, at an angle, 20 to 35 degrees, back and forth motion, let the tool do the work. Okay, once again, I'm stopping about halfway through so you can see the difference between the polished and the just ground, and then there's the third, the mill scale part. So let me finish this up. And is ready to be welded. Now, if you were to do a joint with this, a butt joint or a T-joint, even an outside corner joint, you want to make sure to grind these edges and dress them up well. I like that nice mirror coating on there. So, let's move on to the next step. Alright, since you're good as I promised, I'm going to run a bead for you. But first of all, I like to do the final cleaning. We use a little hydrocarbon solvent. In this case, it's alcohol. Acetone works just as well. MEK works great, but don't forget that'll slip in between your DNA and cause you all sorts of problems. Now there is our mirror clean surface that we cut, ground, and polished. And you can see there's still dirt on it. So that's pretty clean now. I'm going to use some 308L stainless filler rod on top of here for this bead. And I'm also going to wipe it clean. And I'm going to put it down with the wipe so that no oils from my fingers get to it. And then next I'm going to put on my dirty welding gloves. Right? Stick welding gloves, you know, no good for this. You need a feel. These are Mighty Migs from Revco, yeah, Black Stallion. Give you lots of nice dexterity, nice soft feel. Alright, let's run our bead on our nice clean piece of metal. Alright, there we're puddling. I'm going to add some metal and start moving. Alright folks, there's our piece of metal with our nice little bead on it. You can even see where the heat affected zone stopped. There's where we welded. Nice shiny stainless steel bead, even width. That's some TIGging, my friends. Cut.